All right, we're on air. Happy June 8th, everybody. This is a development meeting for Backdrop CMS. We're just going to review some of the tasks that we want to stay focused on for the next foreseeable future. There's no updates from the PMC this week. There are a couple of new contributed projects, including web form validation and redirect 403 to user login, which is a popular Drupal module, so it's exciting to have it for Backdrop. First item on the list is a translation server update, and there is now a fantastic document in GIST that people can refer to if they want to, or Olaf wrote up a bunch of notes about what's been done, where we're stuck, where we could use more help. There's a recommendation in there to try and get a more concentrated effort working on the translation server, and I think we've got two great opportunities for that coming up. There's going to be a sprint after the Montreal Drupal camp and a sprint after the Twin Cities Drupal camp. And that's a place where we could see if there are any people there that have experience with translation in Drupal 7 that we could work on or work with to get us some progress on that. So that might be good if we've just got a couple of hours to focus on it to try and unblock ourselves on making progress here. Olaf, do you want to give us any update in particular about this yourself? I can tell your camera doesn't work. I'm not sure if your microphone works either, but.
Some cameras have inbuilt microphones, so he might not have meant that.
Yeah. Okay, well, it's all pretty well documented in this gist. So I put a link to it in the agenda. You can see it now on the screen. But there are a couple of great ideas about how to unblock us and move forward on getting the translation server working.
Yeah, do you hear me now?
Oh, yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, the camera is not working, but the microphone does.
Oh, good.
So, yeah, for people who didn't read the document, which I posted only today, I could make a recap of the most important points. Generally, the problem is, the general problem that we still rely on Drupal, on the Drupal translation server, which has a few drawbacks, like Backdrop is continuing to make progress, and so changes a lot of translation or a lot of language strings, and so it makes it's difficult for people to get the Drupal files and then to work with them. So it would be better to have our own translation server, and we started to build it. Geoff and me, but only we two. We're a good team, but not the best, I think, because Geoff is a very good developer, but has not too much multi-language experience. And myself, I have no coding skills, and I can only make some site building and testing and so on. And so we need experienced developers would be ideal, who know the technical concept of translation in Drupal 7. So yeah, and I had some ideas how to get some people to work with us. First idea is to ask QuickScratch if he could do that, but I guess there's not enough time. And so, but he's still invited. But yeah, if he has really no time, we could try to write a blog post or Twitter posts to ask people to help us, or as Jen said, ask the Drupal camp, and also some other ideas which you could find in the document. And as a workaround or further ideas, if we don't manage to do that very fast, we could at least build a sort of multi-language community or a separate GitHub channel with, for example, the Russian guys who are around, maybe some Spanish-speaking people and so on, and there, begin to manage something, and maybe even only to upload our personal translated files to the language server and so on. So yeah, if you want to have a look at the document and post some comments there, and so we can go on. But I'm also curious if you have any ideas now. Other ideas.
Yeah, I think you've made a great list here, Olaf. And this is Nate Quick Sketch. I know I'm just the document screen sharing right now, but for those listening. So yeah, I would really like to be able to help, but you're right that I'm time constrained, and there's a lot of different things going on. So I think your suggestion of trying to solicit more help from those that have experience in this realm and from Drupal 7 would be the best path forward. And if we get those volunteers, I'm definitely more than happy to empower them in any way possible, like whether that means server access or I'm not quite sure what other things that we could potentially need other than direct access to the server, because everything right now is fairly open. And everything is coordinated on GitHub. Yeah, I guess if you need GitHub contrib access, we can help any volunteers in that manner as well. Okay. But actually, for the 1.8 cycle, I've been, as we'll get to in the product update, I've been showing an interest in getting config translation up and running, and that inevitably will probably touch on the translation server. Just because it's so highly related that I'll probably end up bleeding over into that. But that I don't have any timeline for when I can actually put forth that time.
Yeah, I see. As an intermediate collaboration helping tool, can we just create a new GitHub repository so people can upload their codex files? Because if they start uploading their own files in a forum or GitHub issues, it's gonna start get messy. And if they have their own GitHub repository, people can make contributions like pull requests on the existing codex files.
Yeah, we can definitely do that.
Yeah, that's something immediate that we can do. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good idea, and it kind of harks back to when Drupal didn't have a translation server. People would just, they would make patches of PO files that contain translations as a temporary measure. That's a good idea. Should we put that in backdrop ops, Jen, or backdrop contrib?
I'll find an issue. Yeah, I'll find an issue now.
Yeah, it's a great idea, and we can make a real simple repository that is just, we could probably take Jeff's POTX file, right? Generate one against the current version of core, and then upload that as the template.
Yeah, well, that's a problem because that's the point where we're blocked, because we don't have a complete PO file. We can generate it at the moment.
We'll put what we have and we'll have pull requests to make it complete. Don't worry. One step at a time.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, let's try.
Okay, well, that seems like a pretty good stopgap measure, although we definitely don't want to make that a permanent substitution. The translation server would be just, well, actually, I don't know. I might have just, you might have just opened a can of worms in my brain.
I was thinking the same thing. Integrate the translation server into Git.
Yeah, that's unfortunately exactly what I was thinking. I was like, oh gosh.
Actually,
Actually, yeah. I feel like that is like a mixed bag. You'd be able to get more developers, but I have a feeling like a lot of people that know languages probably wouldn't really be comfortable with Git. Although, like Gregory, you've written up that excellent article on like how you managed to make patches against Backdrop without doing without any local checkout. Like it's all just through GitHub.
The lame GitHub way, yes.
Yeah.
On the right side of things, the guy that is usually working on our GitHub integration is not an English speaker, so he might be interested as well. Or I don't see him around, but yeah.
Do you guys have any other just first impressions of such an idea of like using GitHub as a translation service? It seems like there might be some shortcomings here regarding like, contrib modules and like showing translation status and all those things. Although, I mean, we could integrate it all into GitHub, it just would be entirely different. I'm a little bit hesitant to like say that's the way we should go. I feel like we already have the excellent services available at the translation server, but just as a general like blue sky thinking brainstorm, if it would be better to use GitHub instead and a pull request workflow instead of a translation server with a separate login.
Did somebody just create the Backdrop translations GitHub repository?
Yes, that was me.
Yay! Lightning fast.
Yeah. Well, maybe we should think more on it. For the time being, though, I feel like we should definitely keep moving forward with the translation server as our primary focus, and then just kind of keep our thoughts open to what this would look like if we moved it to a Git workflow. Okay. Olaf, do you have anything else that you would like to add?
Not at the moment.
Okay. Yeah, and I definitely don't want to discourage you from pushing forward on translation server. That's definitely our primary objective.
Yeah, that's also on my side a time question. So recently I had not much time, and yeah, so when I have time I will do something, and if not, then not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, let's carry on, shall we?
Yeah.
All right. So next on the list is Backdrop CMS project progress report. So Nate, do you want to talk about 171?
Sure thing. So 1.71 still, we have not really found substantial reason for release. So 1.71, we have a milestone that includes, looks like 35 issues that are tagged, many of which are in the needs review state. I do have some availability in the next couple of days, so I am hoping we'll make a little bit of progress getting some bug fixes into the 1.7 branch. But yeah, there's really no substantial items for 1.71, and so just as we accrue issues and start putting them in there, when it feels right for us to make a release, then we'll push out a release with latest fixes. I mentioned during the last dev meeting that we did push out 1.7.0 to Pantheon's upstream, and if we have not yet done so, I should check the checklist. If we have not yet done so, updated like the Docker images and any other upstreams that we potentially have. Do you have any idea what the status of the Docker images are? Are they up to date?
No. I'll do it.
Yeah, and And I think that's because like we were waiting for 1.71, but I think that as we've updated Pantheon's upstream, we should probably just update the Docker upstreams as well.
Will do.
Thanks, Jeff. So that's it for 1.71. We can talk about the next minor release, which is 1.8.0, which will come out May 15th, 2017. Wait, that's not right. That's September. Hang on, the template is wrong. I'm like, wait a minute, that's a really long ways away. Sorry, September 15th, 2017. And we have a couple of items here that we've got slated for focus in the 1.8 release cycle. One of which is a piece of functionality that has been put together that is in a place that needs review, the concept of layout relationships, which is issue 2134. I haven't looked at this, but I don't believe there's activity has happened here. Nope. But that's an issue that needs review / work. There hasn't been any updates since last week, so I won't rehash that. Better media support is issue 1448. There was a lot of really great organization of this task and kind of building out a better battle plan that was put forth by Daggerheart. So this issue, 1448, is a meta issue that includes a bunch of subtasks. And Daggerheart was kind enough to split it all up into a slightly more granular set of tasks than what we had last week. He already had put forth a substantial pull request to add several pieces of functionality, but it was a little bit like too comprehensive. It was like all of a bunch of different issues all at the same time. And now that he's broken these up, we have a lot better opportunity to handle these items one at a time and go through them. It's also better for divvying up the work. I know that we had some of these issues, like this guy here, that Al Roskopf has been kind of staking these out as well. So we have some good opportunities now to distribute this work across different people. But it does look like Al Roskopf and Daggerheart are kind of carrying the flag there towards improving that. And I'm sure there's plenty of opportunity for increased collaboration there as code starts coming in, or if you're interested in putting forth code. But let's keep an eye on what contributions have been put forth already and try not to step on each other's toes too much. So there's opportunities in some of these issues to put forth pull requests that don't have them, and in others to actually review pull requests, because I think that code has already started coming in for these for better media management. So check in to issue 1448 and take a perusal through the sub-issues and check in there if you would like to participate in improving media management in 1.8. Another item that is at least of personal interest to me is issue 704, which we mentioned slightly earlier in the meeting about adding configuration translation. Yeah, that issue is in, it needs feedback states. There's no code yet, mostly just kind of concept. And so we can kind of get some feedback on the basic battle plan there. And then hopefully in the coming weeks, I'm planning on putting forth some code to move that forward. And of course, if there's any interest in somebody else volunteering to take the plan that is in there and run with it, then yeah, hop in. There's the opportunity is there to jump in and take the lead on code implementation there. Those are the items that we have slated for 1.8 that we're putting focus towards. Of those present here, do we have anything else that we would like to add to the 1.8 hit list?
I'm personally focused on trying to get as much progress as possible on media library, and I would be perfectly happy if we didn't add anything else to this list.
I also would be perfectly happy if we can get things like media library completed.
Yeah, I'm not sure we'll get all the issues in 1448 in for 1.8, but I think if we could get like that super solid base of like having file entities and having a browser, like we can add other stuff later, like fieldable files or whatever. But I would love to have a better user experience of managing files. And I know we started on that in the last release, and I'd love to see that make some progress. So there's a lot to do. Oh, also, did you guys notice that Drupal 8 now has media and core?
With a really big asterisk there, that there's a media module that provides a media entity, and
but they're on the same like sort of roadmap of like we want media stuff in core, and so I think it's kind of important for us to do the same thing, like in the same way we don't have to get all of it in already. But I think that'll also be useful for people who are like coming from Drupal 8 and already think that media is in core. We could do the same sort of thing. So
yeah, kind of in typical, maybe not typical, but there's definitely divergence here in our approaches already, in that they've made media into an abstract, a new entity type that can point at any type of media, including local files, and our approach is definitely much more centered on local files, and in particular images.
Yeah.
Which again, I mean, this is kind of why we are separate projects. Okay. Tom, did you have something you were going to add? So you unmute. No? Okay.
No. Okay.
Okay. And as always, there's lots of other things that we would like to accomplish. There's the milestone for the 1.8. There's the tracker for the 1.8 milestone in GitHub. And you can check those out from the repository or by going to GitHub/backdrop issues. That's all I've got for the product update. Do you have anything you guys would like to discuss, or anything for open questions?
Sounds like a no. Well, that's perfect. Our meeting was right on time this week. So I guess, I mean, we've got a bunch of work to do in the issue queue, but nothing that's on fire, which is nice. So maybe we will wrap the meeting and then move to getter and/or issues, and then meet again next week. Oh wait, so next week, just so you guys know, Nate and I are going to be doing a backdrop training on Thursday, so we won't be here for these meetings. So next week it's the outreach meeting and then the dev meeting. And so if somebody else is interested in running the video, we should try and get a volunteer to do that.
Any volunteers?
For the outreach meeting, it's a bit too early for me. Sometimes I make it, sometimes not. Maybe I'll see if I can make some time for the dev meeting. But do we have? I think we had instructions someplace on how to host it, right?
We've got some instructions in the procedures folder. It basically just involves the agenda will already exist, looking at it and making sure that nothing urgent needs to be added or removed, and then pushing this broadcast button.
Okay.
So, not too much. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and turn off the broadcast for today, and then we can talk about it more afterwards if needed.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. As always, thanks.